Welcome back. We are on day 2 of our yarn painting project. So today's going to be sort of another brainstorming type of day. We're going to learn some more about space, an element of art called space, and we're going to be learning about foreground, middle ground, background, and I've even got a fun little project assignment that you're going to do for next class as well. All right, so the very first thing we actually have today is a short video that's going to talk about that element of art called space. So we are going to take a pause, a moment to watch that now. I wasn't actually paused there. Okay, but hopefully watch that video now. Let's talk then about the different parts of any landscape, any image is the foreground, middle ground, and background. So let's take a quick gander at all 3 of those. I'm sure you've heard of this one before, right? We've heard of a background before, so I'm sure we have that background knowledge. But have you heard of a middle ground and a foreground before? Let's make sure we understand those concepts as well, because they are going to come into play as we are creating these landscapes. Okay, so let's review what a landscape is. First off, landscape is a picture representing a view of natural scenery, so something out in nature. And every landscape, assuming that the landscape is showing the sky and the ground somewhere in it, is going to have what we call a horizon line. So that horizon line is where the sky meets the ground, and remember that word horizontal, right? That's a line that goes this way. So not this way or this way. A horizontal line goes this way, and you can hear that in horizon. So if you're ever confused, like, wait, which one's vertical, which one's horizontal, think of a horizon line and you'll know this way is horizontal. Okay? I guess the only way that a landscape wouldn't have a horizon line in it is if you're showing a landscape, but you're literally like just focused more on like the ground, because then there wouldn't be a sky in it, you know. So then maybe not, but typically a landscape's going to have that horizon line in it. So there are also going to be 3 different parts. The foreground, that's the part that's closest to you, so that's the dark green here. So the foreground is closest to you. The middle ground is in the middle, so that's nice that it's right in the title. And then the background is in the back, right? Once again, right in the title, kind of nice. So the foreground is the part that appears the closest in the landscape. It's going to usually appear larger as well, because let's think of it like, so if this is a rock, now the rock is in the foreground, doesn't it look bigger? Now it's in the middle ground, now it's in the background, it's going to look smaller, right? Just because of distance from where you're viewing it from. So in this photo, the rocks are in the foreground, that water, and like kind of the stones in the middle, those rocks jutting out, that's the middle ground. And then of course we can see kind of at the horizon line and those cool clouds all in the background. Okay, the middle ground then, once again, it's located in the middle of a landscape. In this photo, the water and trees are located in the middle ground, right? The canoe and the grass is poking out, that'd be our foreground, the trees and the water, middle ground, and then of course those mountains and sky in the background. The background is the area located the farthest away behind everything. In this photo, the mountains are in the background. So kind of think of it like, have you ever played that game where you're like, you know this, you got layered hands? So like, for example, we've got color-coded dots here. The foreground for this one would be the one that's the closest to us in the front, and that's going to be the baby's hand. So the pink dot, that's our foreground. The background then, the hand with the nail polish that's on the very back side of that, with the blue dot, that is our background. And then anything in the middle, that's going to be our middle ground. So those 3 hands that are nearish the purple dot, that's our middle ground. So that's kind of another way of thinking of it too. It's that layering, right? Foreground, middle ground, background. Here's another example of it. Our foreground, the tree that's closest to us. The middle ground would be that middle tree and that car and the road. And then the background is going to be all those trees and the house in the distance. So hopefully, like, as you're seeing a bunch of these different examples, it's like, oh, okay, I get it. I understand what that all means. So once again, foreground, middle ground, background, front, middle, back. Feel free as you wish if you want to come back and look at any of these. They're all open to you to check out some more as well. So here's another example of the exact same tree, just one's in the foreground, one's in the middle ground, and one's in the background. And a lot of times too, when you portray these things in a drawing, you might have the things that are closer to you more vivid and more distinct because you can focus on them easier. As things go back further in space, sometimes you'll notice that they look almost more hazy because in nature too, like, right, the further something is away, there might be like air particles and stuff in front of it. So it kind of like, it does tend to get a little bit almost more like blurry, hazy, the further things go back into space. Especially if they're really, really far away, right? Then they really start to get like hard to focus on a little bit more. So anyway, as you're portraying it in your drawings, you might notice that you just almost naturally do something like this. And this is another way to just make it look almost more realistic too, by making the things that are closest to us more in focus, more sharp, maybe more bright and vibrant, as well as the things going further away, maybe a little bit more blurry, a little more hazy looking as they go back in space. And one more example, we've got the foreground, all that greenery and that rock would be our foreground. Our middle ground is going to be the water there, and then the back is going to be our mountains back there. All right. Does that make sense? Do we understand foreground, middle ground, background? If not, let me know what questions you have, and then also we'll get some practice with it too. So here are the things that we're going to need for our project today. We're going to need our Chromebook to take photos with. If you prefer to take photos with a phone and then like email them to yourself or upload them to your Google Drive, that's okay too, but you need to make sure that it gets onto your Chromebook. So, I mean, the easiest way to do this would be to use your Chromebook camera, but if you've got other ways, just know that I do approve as long as you get them into your art folder, we're good, okay? And then objects from home. 3. You don't need a big pile of objects. You just need 3 objects from home. It kind of works well for this project if they're all kind of around the same size. They don't have to be exactly the same size or exactly the same thing, but just like, you might not want to have like a glue stick and then a basketball hoop and then a car. Things that are kind of around the same size would probably work better for this. So, if you got like 3 stuffies, perfect. We've got like, I don't know, some Matchbox cars or some, a salt shaker, a pepper shaker, and a jar filled with garlic. I don't know. Things like that, right? Things that are kind of in the same realm. So what you're going to do before next class is you're going to stand up those objects and take a photo. So how do we want to do that? We want to make sure that, first off, they should be staggered. You don't want it to be like, here's this thing, and then here's that thing, because now we can't, like the first thing's blocking the second thing and the third thing. So you want to stagger them a little bit like we're seeing in the photos here, but you want to put one closer up, one in the middle, and then one in the back. So we want to show that you're understanding that concept of foreground, middle ground, and background. Take a photo of it, put it in your art folder for sure. Or you could even just, if you want to, throw this into your art journal. That way you've got it there as well. A couple different spots, doesn't hurt. So get that photo taken. And then, of course, if you didn't last class, make sure to finish your line landscape. I have had some people showing me theirs, and they look like a great start. But you really do, just like we're seeing here, we really do want to make sure that the entire half sheet of paper is fully lined in. I'm not going to use the words colored in because you're not like coloring it like a coloring book, right? We're lining it in as if our marker worried continuous string of yarn for each color that we're selecting. So anyway, wanted to make sure that we're all getting that completed as well. All right, so that's what we're up to. Hopefully you have fun with this. I think it will be enjoyable for you to take those pictures, and then once again, just make sure get them in your art folder and or art journal, and then also finishing that line scape from last class. All right, can't wait to see what you guys all come up with.